Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I know I'm up early. I'm about 2 hours up early, but I'm doing a pre-broadcast before our President Donald J. Trump addresses our nation. What's it going to be? What's he going to talk about? That's what I want to talk about. So anyway, folks, I hope you're doing well. And I might do another broadcast. That's why I put part one. I might do another broadcast. But there are important things to consider that have happened just in the past few hours and days that I believe may have brought Donald Trump to the conclusion that he needed to address the nation. It could be any number of things. We had Dan Bongino announce his resignation. We had a atomic professor from MIT. How many times have you heard Donald Trump discuss MIT? Was apparently assassinated at his home early today, roughly 60 minutes away from Brown University, where we had apparently now two people infiltrate the campus and go directly for a young lady who was the vice chairman of the local Republican Party. And allegations that somebody was shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But nobody will confirm that or not. I know I saw a video that Citizen Free Press put up about the National Guard in D.C. Someone videoed themselves screaming, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, at our National Guardsmen, and then mocking them and saying, "Not smiling now, are you?" Acting very vicious toward them. That happened today. We got word that the Mar-a-Lago raid was a farce, was a violation of the law and of Donald Trump's civil rights, along with Melania and his entire family. Put people in danger with an armed group of agents coming in to search Mar-a-Lago illegally with orders that they were allowed to use deadly force. Nobody ever brings that up. We had Jack Smith go behind closed doors today to testify in the Senate. We had Fannie Willis putting on a show and running her jaws in Georgia, reiterating her hoax that the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself were criminals. We are witnessing a violent insurgency, a vicious insurgency. There was an insurrection, all right. There was an insurrection, all right. Other things came out that I'll discuss and get your opinions on while people filter into the chats. Hi, Rain. How you doing? Gloria, nice to see you. What happened to my my room that I have to review? Oh, here we go. There we go. I can see everybody now. My screen was squashed. Randy's here. Robin's here. Bubba's here. Kimberly, Ronald, Gloria. Rain's here. Rubber toe. All right. So let's see. State of emergency. Because in my title, I say questions. The question, are they going to ask? Is he going to answer the unasked question? I'll get to that in a minute. But is it going to be an announcement of war like Tucker Carlson and Judge Napolitano are intimating? Is it going to be like Chuck Schumer said, Donald Trump's going to give a list of his accomplishments, but we give him an F? Is it going to be, what's it going to be? Very odd. Yesterday, he just says, I'm going to give it a address to the nation. How many channels is it going to be on? What do you all think it's going to be about? When we have gotten to the point of having painful patience with seeing what's been going on, and the media spin, the coordinated media spin. Trump put out a truth today about Warnock, the senator, I'm putting that in air quotes, from Georgia, a communist, getting very special treatment on deface, no, what was it, meet the depressed or meet the fake press, whatever. Trump said they need to be properly licensed and they need to pay a big fee to have that very valuable license. So that was mentioned by Trump today. To Tucker Carlson and Judge Napolitano, what I have to say to you is we are at war. We've been at war with Venezuela. I wouldn't be surprised if that atomic scientist who lost his life, it happened because of a hit squad from Iran. Remember, Israel was taking out nuclear scientists every foggy day leading up to the strike. It could be retaliatory. And we know that Iran has been operating out of Caracas, Venezuela, coming onto our shores to commit assassinations, kidnappings, espionage, and anything else you can think of. With the knowledge and blessings of the Maduro junta. It's not a government, it's just a banana junta. So we've been at war. Trump's not going to declare war. He's going to acknowledge it. He's going to respond to it. He's already declared them a predatory incursion and designated a terror group. What more do they need? Why did he think all that hardware is down there? So we can keep allowing them to abuse us? And we have a nation that is full of people at every level who consider us to be invaders, stolen land rhetoric. Who are they installed by? Worldwide Marxists. Who does Maduro have the support of? The same bunch, worldwide Marxists, that Fidel Castro has, and anybody else that's taken over a nation through nefarious means. And Trump put out a truth about Venezuela's stolen property. Those of you who have been with me for a while know that I mentioned about, as an example, one American business as an example, because I knew a fellow who worked for Cargill, a huge agricultural distribution, and kind of like Southern States or something like that. They confiscated all the land. They just took it. A bunch of thugs in another country took an American company, their land, their buildings, their equipment, their bank accounts, as I said, and ran them off like dogs. Nobody did a damn thing. No one in the American government protected an American company's interests abroad. And that was just one company. And Trump put out a truth calling them out. We want that property back. And I'm just using Cargill as an example, but they did with oil companies. Any company because they nationalized. They turned into a communist dictatorship. People don't realize that that's what they're hollering and rooting for when they say, make everything free. Hi, Damon. How you doing? Hopefully, Bubba, the Trump card comes out. We shall see. Kimberly, nice to see you. Hi, Gloria. So, yeah, people didn't expect me to come up tonight, but I was going to put in my thumbnail. She's alive. She was alive. Now, we don't have a lot of people in broadcast because I'm up way earlier than expected. A lot of people anticipated. Who am I talking about? That's right, Rubber Toe, the dumb onion outfit. There's so many things that trace back to Venezuela and Iran. Just ask Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? But you know what? I saw something that made my antennas go up. And it was just prior to Donald Trump announcing he was going to address the nation. I don't want to get people wired up and fired up, especially when we're in this era of painful patience that we're dealing with. But who was alive? When I said she was alive, I saw a video published on a very credible platform, namely Citizens Free Press. And it was a video of Billy Bush. And he said that Margaret Reiner was alive when paramedics got to the house. Now, stick with me on this. The daughter found them. And like any child seeing their parents in that state, she ran off and called for help. What to do? What to do? It was a horrible sight. I don't believe she knew her mother was alive. The paramedic said, according to Billy Bush, that she was able to identify her son as the attacker. And they couldn't save life. She died just before or at the hospital. And it's sad because if someone would have checked on them sooner, the timeline is that the son went to a hotel at 4 o'clock in the morning after a big blow up. And he had no signs of anything. He didn't look like he committed any crime. But then when they checked on the hotel room in the morning, there was a lot of the red stuff all over the shower, the beds, the sheets were hanging over the windows. You all probably heard all that. I don't know when the maid checked the room, but you know, traditionally it's around 11 o'clock checkout time, right? So we know it happened after 4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., somewhere around there. So apparently they were severely injured and were for 8 hours or so unattended, or maybe 7 hours. That's a long time when you have grievous injuries. But what made my antennas go up, folks, about that story? Did anybody have their antennas go up about the story I just told? What about that story? Well, I'll go ahead and get into it. Who told the story? I waited to see if anybody else would post that information. Nobody did. Have any of you in the chats heard that about his wife being alive? Has anybody heard that? Anybody in the comments after this broadcast, put it in the comments. Have you heard it before? Now at 8:18 p.m. December 17th. Oh, by the way, yesterday was the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. Yes, that's another one too, Roberto. They were supposed to meet with Obama Sunday evening for dinner. Billy Bush. That's what made my antennas go up. You know, these people that have been coordinating and orchestrating this slander campaign in an attempt to remove a duly elected president through any means necessary, don't think they're not being watched. And I have full faith that nobody's going to walk away from this. Billy Bush, he's the one that was involved in the very first Trump hoax. He's the one that surreptitiously taped Trump during the, quote, locker room talk. I found it odd that he is so close to the family that he found out that very intimate detail about Margaret still being alive. Someone shared that with him. That says they're very close. That family is very close. And Rob Reiner was a very malicious and vicious individual who was anti-American and tried to tear down our system, fully in support of all the rhetoric, all the divisive statements about stolen land and Trump being Nazi. He's used those very same terms, and his supporters. Billy Bush is the one who let out, they let you grab them by the you-know-what. Women who know you have money let you grab them. And then that got twisted, deformed, exaggerated for damn near 10 years, and they're still doing it. And don't think it wasn't their first operation. Participating in psyops and propaganda to destroy a presidency and divide this country and to promote Marxism and communism. No, I don't like him. And no, I'm not shedding a damn tear. Yes, it's terrible. It happened, blah, blah, blah. Yes, he made some good movies, but wait a minute. I looked through his filmography. He put a couple things out in 16 and 17 that were in the hopper before Trump won his first term. But after that, he did a documentary on On what? What did he do a documentary on? Christian nationalists. Do you think that was a good documentary? I said before that he was anti-Christian, anti-conservative. So, what did he do? Has he been doing for the last 10 years? All the good movies are, oh, that was so wonderful. Princess Bride. When was Princess Bride? 1989? What did he do? He's put his efforts, his wealth, his power, his influence to tear down Donald Trump. Linking arms with people like Billy Bush, coming out with the very first, and I'm sure it wasn't the last, operation to try to tear down the presidency of Donald J. Trump. Maybe that's why nobody's reporting that Margaret was alive. And they almost got her to the hospital in time to get life-saving care because it came from Billy Bush. And people are going to go, oh yeah, that Billy Bush, the one who wore a wire. Who knows how much he taped about Donald Trump? Wiretapped about Donald Trump, but they couldn't use because there wasn't nothing bad. But then he said a dirty word and they jumped on it. When he thought he was having a private conversation with a fellow man using some lowbrow talk, locker room talk, and look what they turned it into. What else were they involved in? And then reports coming out that Rob Reiner had friends that were with who, at least two, I've heard maybe three, but I've heard people swear up and down that he had two friends, good friends, that he met with frequently that were involved with the C.I.A. for 10 years. Coordinating? Of course, that's my opinion. What was he going to do when he met with Barack and Michelle? Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? What do you think they were going to be up to? Thinking how they could help Trump? Thinking how they could stop the wars? 26,000 dead in Ukraine, 27,000 dead in Ukraine last month. Let's put our heads together to try to help our president. No, I don't think they were. Oh, but he said something nice when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was a gentleman in a damn pig's eye. That mouth of his led to the atmosphere that caused violence, not just against Charlie Kirk, but other people. Dividing families, dividing this nation. He wasn't a patriot. I talked about Carol O'Connor, who played Archie, lost his son to drugs, and spent the last months of his life trying to get the individual who was supplying his son put away. Did Rob Reiner ever bring that up? When he worked side by side, Carol O'Connor, All in the Family, that was his signature start in Hollywood. Did he? Did he ever talk to his son about what happened to Carol O'Connor's son? I'm sure it wasn't in the movie Finding Charlie or whatever the hell the name of it was. That vanity piece about addiction. I saw a clip of it. What was the clip? The clip was a shaven young person in a suit telling a politician, you may think this is paraphrasing, you may think I'm an addict. You may think I'm nothing but an addict, but you could be one vote away from losing your election, and I might be that one vote. And then walks out all haughty. So Charlie was a hero in the movie, right? You may think I'm just an addict, but I can destroy you politically. Is that how you cure your ills? By thinking you have political power? At least that's what I got out of that scene. You didn't see the character Charlie with his head in a toilet or laying in a gutter. What else come out about Reiner? Al Franken roasting him. Y'all keep me posted when Donald Trump's speech starts. Because I just gave somebody a heart that commented on something. Hopefully they'll look for this video and find us and join the chats. What else came out about Reiner? Al Franken roasting him. Did you all watch a clip of that? Now remember, Al Franken was the governor of Minnesota. Unceremoniously stepped down from his position, didn't run for a re-election or what have you, after he won a very closely contested and specious election to get him in. A comedian, a nasty-mouthed, third-rate comedian was governor of Minnesota. He won because they found some votes several days after the election. I believe they were in a gymnasium or in the trunk of someone's car. And he won like by 203 votes or whatever the hell it was. And then some pictures came out about him. Might as well say it. Molesting women when they were asleep. That's the one I saw. Put his hands on their chests and mugging for the camera. That Al Franken. Now look who we got in Minnesota. Look what's going on with the all that fraud. There's a team, a federal team heading up there for HUD abuse. Another federal team heading up there for food stamp abuse. There's another federal team heading up there for COVID expenditures. They're going to rip that state apart. But anyway, Al Franken, what was he joking about? With Rob Reiner sitting right there on stage laughing. About child abuse. About Reiner engaging in P3 file activity. That was so funny. And then Billy Crystal doing a roast on Rob Reiner, talking about Carl Reiner getting in bed with Rob Reiner. And that was funny too. He was laughing, sitting right there listening to this. And then he compared Rob Reiner to Woody Allen as far as the kind of actors he likes. And we all know about Woody Allen marrying his underage stepdaughter. That son of a bitch should be in jail. Speaking of jail, has his son ever been to jail? I saw a clip where Rob Reiner said, I learned that we have to listen to the addict, the person suffering. And I was paying attention to people with pieces of paper on their wall and certifications instead of paying attention to what my son was telling me. I heard a report that said the first time he went to rehab was around his 15th birthday. I'll repeat that. It was around his 15th birthday. What does that mean? That he was using hard drugs, cocaine, methamphetamine, who knows what, when he was 14. I heard younger than that. Not just a tweenie bopper, but a preteen. And it was public knowledge all over the place. And nobody went to jail. Carol O'Connor would have wanted somebody to go to jail. Carol O'Connor wouldn't let his son at that age be exposed like that. Hi, Wayne. How you doing? Pappy, nice to see you. Miss Mendersoo. Gary's here. That's right. All right. Yeah, Al Franken. Ugh. Yes, we're here early this evening, and I might do another broadcast after Donald J. Trump's addresses the nation. They got money, they got wealth, they got power. That was any other kid, especially after the age of 18, just for possession of that crap. They would have had to have some kind of punishment, some kind of charges, some kind of involvement with the police. You know what? If you get sentenced to jail over drug use, you get every opportunity in the world to have therapy, to have programs, but you acknowledge that you broke the law. Oh, but they are much too important for that, right? If anybody gave my 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid a cigarette, they'd be picking up their teeth with a broken arm and then end up in jail. But what did Rob Reiner do when his son was using hard drugs as a tweenie bopper? Why wouldn't you be enraged and want justice? Oh, maybe it was a good friend. Or maybe they were doing what Billy Crystal was joking about what Carl Reiner was doing with Rob Reiner. Billy Crystal was joking that he was Rob Reiner was getting passed around as a child to Hollywood friends. Real joke. Ha 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 ha. Nobody, I haven't heard a damn thing about anybody being charged with a crime. There wouldn't have been a place for that person to hide on the face of this flipping earth. I've said so many times, I'd have flipped over every damn rock from the North Pole to the South Pole to find that SOB, and he'd pay the price. But no, nobody has gotten in any trouble for providing this person with drugs at a very young age. And look what it turned into. Oh, okay, Bubba, yeah, well, lay down and rest. Eat broccoli. That helps get your blood sugar down. Yeah, Dan Bongino. What? Stirring a pot. to go from saying publicly, the information I found out shook me to my core. How long ago did he say that? 3 weeks? 4 weeks? And now he's leaving. Did something happen that made Donald Trump say, I have got to talk directly to the American people? Is it going to be mass arrests? Is it going to be, we can't keep playing patty cake. They raided my home. They stripped the American people of their sense of security and peace of mind by raiding a former president's home illegally, by targeting conservative groups with the IRS, by framing thousands of people during a protest, ruining their lives and putting him in jail by the hundreds and hundreds. Fannie Willis and that dopey ex-governor today even repeated the lie that Brian Sticknick, or whatever his name was, I'm sorry, that passed away from an unrelated aneurysm days after that famous day. They both said that Trump was responsible, along with the people who supported him, for his death, that they KILL'd that officer, repeating a lie. You think Rob Reiner had anything to do with setting up the theatrics? He's a director, he's a producer. You think it was just Nancy Pelosi's daughter? How many Netflix games has Reiner played? I know the documentary bashing Christian nationals was one of them. So is Trump going to say, look, what do you all need? A building to fall in on you to see what the hell's going on? Well, we're going to go ahead and start picking people up. Is he going to be in Air Force One? Wouldn't that's what I was thinking last night after I put 2 and 2 together about Billy Bush being so close with Reiner. If he was on Air Force One, ladies and gentlemen, by now you have no doubt realized that we are taking back our great nation. My fellow Americans, right? Wouldn't that be something? But no, I don't believe that's what it's going to be. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would be thrilled. I would be happy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Trump just said, look, there's enough of these damn games. They're criminals. They stole the election. We know who they are. We've been showing you who they are. And this crooked media has been twisting my words and ignoring information and not putting it out there to you. And yeah, if he's got to use Rob Reiner, yeah, it's terrible what happened to him. But hey, when you're an enemy of the people, which is exactly what this person was, when you're an enemy of your nation, I don't give a damn how many good movies you made. It's like when Charles Lindbergh got the Iron Cross and some kind of award from Hermann Göring, a medal, and somebody asked Roosevelt, well, Charles Lindbergh, if we're going to go to war with Germany, Charles Lindbergh wants to know what's he going to do with the medals they gave him? And Lindbergh said, I'll tell him what he can do with them. In other words, you can stick them up as you know what. Well, same thing here. Charles Lindbergh was a hero too. But Charles Lindbergh believed in the National Socialist movement. That is what NAZIs are, National Socialists. Not a 10-cent bit of dirty ice difference of communism. And that's Reiner to a T. Yes, there was, Todd, an ABC producer and director involved in setting up JE6. And I'm sure it was more than that. I'm sure they got consulting from the likes of Reiner. The disclosure that they had no probable cause to raid Donald Trump's house and put this country in a state of turmoil. Is that disclosure going to be enough where Trump addresses the nation and says, look, some people got to go to jail for this? The Democrats' approval rating is at 18%. Disapprove 73%. Might as well get it over with. They'll have their day in court. They'll have their due process. If there's evidence that they knowingly broke the law and ordered a raid of Donald Trump's home that could have ended in the loss of life, that ended in a divided nation, and the abuses that Trump had to go through, somebody needs to go to jail. I mean, today. Maybe they've already been picked up. Maybe that's what Trump's going to announce. But I don't want to whip people up. I'm just saying. He could say, tariffs are going to bring us in so much money. I'm looking forward to giving everybody checks, and we're going to want to restore our republic to what it was pre-1917 when they started taking your money instead of giving you money. Maybe that's what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to do a little bit of both, or all three things, or many things. Maybe he'll be on TV from 9 to midnight. Maybe it'll be pre-recorded. I don't know. But it is, you will agree with me, I'm sure, unusual. We got a Congress that can't function. They can't keep the government doors open. We got a government that knowingly allows tens of millions of foreigners to come into the country and loot our resources and take up precious housing, social services costs, and suck it dry, and they just sit there. They're not faithfully executing the laws of the United States. They're not living up to their oath. And it's open and rank. Why do we have to sit here and put up with it? Why does the media not faithfully and honestly report the facts? Judge Dugan had her second day of court today, and it wasn't good. There was a second judge on the stand who was on thin ice, and she knew it. That's why I believe she came out as strongly as she did. She said she felt embarrassed by what Judge did and helping someone invade law enforcement. Oh, well, then it came out. Didn't you call your daughter to let her know ICE agents were at the courthouse so your daughter's clients could get away? Oh, I was just talking to my daughter. Oh, hey, these judges that are openly resisting, openly defying, they're breaking law. It's not discretion. It's treason or sedition or subversion or whatever the hell category it fits. Nobody's above the law. Did something come out about Judge Boasberg and his FISA warrants? Oh, how many FISA warrants did he have on Donald Trump? We know he had them on senators, congressmen. A state within a state. Is it going to be a big announcement? Why didn't anybody go to jail for giving a 14-year-old hard drugs? How come that he didn't end up going to jail all the times he, quote, relapsed? Been the best thing that ever happened to his dumbass. Sit in a county jail for 6 months and get your rehab instead of daddy and mommy patting you on the head and making movies about you, putting some politician in their place. Do y'all get what my point about that? Rob Reiner made that book about his son, that movie about his son, to stroke that boy's ego, to say, that's a wrap, cut, that's a wrap. The movie's in the can, and like a closed book, you snap the book closed, and he tried to make his own reality and stroke his son. That's all behind us now. You're cured. Didn't you see the movie? How many parents are struggling with addiction largely because of these cartels bringing drugs over that were blowing the hell out of the water now, about time? How many parents whose homes have been destroyed, whose children's lives have been destroyed? How many of them get to do a damn movie? No, they got to buy lawyers, and they got to pay for rehab, and they got to try to save their child's life. Dealing with a person that is addicted is hell on earth if it's someone you love. So yeah, if he says about Venezuela, it's about damn time we acknowledge that we are at war. He's not going to declare war. And if Rob Reiner had 10 cents worth of sense, he'd have known that a lot of what his son was getting his hands on for 20 years, 33 now, at least 14 when he was doing it first time, that crap was coming from cartels. He should have been kissing Donald Trump's feet. But no, what was he doing? Conspiring, coordinating, was confederate with people like Billy Bush, James Boasberg, Fannie Willis, Letitia James, and all this trash we've been dealing with, Alvin Bragg, to tear Trump down. That's a thought that just came into my mind. That he, of all people, should be glad that the war on drugs was being actually treated like an actual war, and that these drugs are being designated as weapons of mass destruction. He, of all people, should realize that that is a fact of the matter. But he went to his grave wanting to destroy a man who's trying to help this nation. And I don't revel in it. I don't take any joy in it at all. But I ain't going to shed a tear over it. And Trump had every right to say what he said. I'm going to quote my plumber intel. Maybe I don't have the right to say certain things. Maybe you all don't have the right to say certain things about Rob Reiner, but Donald Trump's got the right to say what he said. Because Rob Reiner's rhetoric, power, money, reach, Confederates that he aligned himself with caused Donald Trump and this nation a lot of misery. Through hoaxes, frauds, lies, slander, libel, over and over and over again. So anyway, folks, let's see what Donald Trump has to say. I want to thank you, Wayne, for going by buy me a coffee, and Norm for going by buy me a coffee. He went just before I went live. So did Wayne, Mike and Beth, and Miss Mindersue, and Ann. Is Ann in here? Did I see Ann? But anyway, I am so, I don't want to say excited, but I'm hoping. I just can't understand how this would not be the perfect time to at least get somebody's ass in handcuffs. And Hillary Clinton is not going to her hearing defying a congressional subpoena. Miss Mindersue, boom, 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 and what is she waiting for? Another government shutdown? Remember, that's January 30th, folks. They're going to prove once again that they can't even keep the government open, that the Congress cannot function in the manner of which it was intended. They want to wait Donald Trump out. I just put a link for Buy Me a Coffee in the description at the 52-minute and 24-second mark if anybody wants to help out with Buy Me a Coffee. The link works after the live stream, by the way. So, no, she stiff-armed Congress again. Now, Bill is squawking about presidential immunity. That might be a little more tricky, but Hillary was never president of the United States. She wasn't Bill Clinton's lawyer. She can't say attorney-client privilege. And they put Steve Bannon into jail over it, and they put Peter Navarro in jail over the same thing. So, Hillary, why can't you go to jail? Can you hang in there long enough for them to shut down the government to buy you some more time? So we've got all these things flying around in the air, and the news isn't reporting on any of it. I thought for sure that I would see breathless reports about Margaret Reiner being alive when she was discovered, surviving on the way to the hospital, able to communicate that her son is the one who did it. I thought that would be the biggest news, and I haven't seen anybody discuss it. And I will ask the question again. Now there's more people in the chats. Has anybody heard that, what I just said, anywhere but here? Has anybody else heard that? It's a video of Billy Bush disclosing that. When they sit there and talk about breaking news, here is the time Billy, or what's his name, Reiner, checked into a hotel. It was a Super 8. Let's do a whole video on it. I thought, well, my God, there's going to be all kinds of videos about how long did she lay there and suffer. If they'd have got there 15 minutes sooner, would she have made it? Are these EMTs going to be called as witnesses? And her dying testimony that her son did that to her. I saw him on tape. Who's that? Rain. I saw. Oh, it wasn't Billy. You heard it from. Yeah, I saw Billy Bush say it, and that showed me that Billy Bush is very tight with the Reiner family, and Billy Bush was the first one that organized the first hoax against Trump, which was the locker room talk about him grabbing women. Billy Bush wore a wire and taped Trump surreptitiously, and they twisted it into a national outrage by claiming Trump did stuff he did not do. So anyway, folks, I will see what happens and should be back prior to the night ending, depending on how his speech goes. If he just says, about tariffs, which are all very important for the American people to understand, the average American person isn't going to be paying attention to a lot of stuff I'm talking about, and that's a shame. But if he says, about tariffs, how so serious it is that the Supreme Court choose wisely about this tariff situation, maybe that's what he's going to talk about. Or he's going to talk about how healthcare can be rehabbed from the disaster that it is now, that it's nothing but a boondoggle and more looting of our national wealth. With the Affordable Care Act, they have to do super subsidies. What the hell is that? Super subsidies? That's an affordable health care, something you got to have super federal money getting pumped in. So anyway, whatever it is whatever it is. Let's see what happens, folks, and look for me possibly back tonight with a part 2. And if not, I'll be seeing you tomorrow night. So if you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live, right? So make sure you hit the thumbs up button like Wayne did and many other people in the chats. And we'll see which way the wind blows. And I hear you, Gary. I hear you. Hopefully you'll get that stuff ironed out. Hi, Sparky. The internet can be a scary place, right? But I'm still here. Ha ha ha. And I intend to keep being here. Even if I got to have a couple of cans and a big long string to each one of you and talking to the can string. But anyway, folks, y'all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. This is Mountain Man. Over and out.